The knock on my door that morning sounded different. Sharp, impatient, almost entitled. I opened it to find 3 people standing there in bright polo shirts that said, Lakewood HOA Board. The woman in front, short, blonde, and radiating authority, smiled like she'd just won something. "Good morning, Mr. Walker," she said. "We're here to inform you that your cabin is technically located on community land. You'll need to vacate within 30 days. I blinked. "What?" "This land," she continued, pointing at my porch, "belongs to the HOA. Our recent mapping survey confirmed it." I laughed at first, thinking it was some kind of prank. I'd bought this cabin 15 years ago, paid taxes, maintained it myself, built the dock with my own 2 hands. But the way she said it, calm, rehearsed, final, sent a chill down my spine. That woman was Karen Duffy, the HOA president everyone at the lake whispered about. They said she'd fined people for leaving kayaks too close to the waterline, and once demanded a man repaint his boat because the color clashed with the lake's aesthetic. I told her she was mistaken. She smiled again. "We'll see about that." The next morning, an envelope appeared under my door. Notice of unauthorized occupancy. It claimed my cabin was built partially on HOA property and demanded immediate action. I went straight to the county office with my deed and survey maps. The clerk frowned, checking records. "Your property line hasn't changed in 15 years, he said. "No one can just move it." But when I returned home, the HOA had already staked orange flags across my yard, dividing lines like I was being fenced out of my own land. Then came the threats, letters, emails. Failure to comply may result in legal removal. My neighbors were scared to talk to me. Karen's board had influence, money, lawyers, and power. I wasn't about to let them take my home. So I started digging into HOA meeting minutes, land documents, even satellite imagery. And what I found made my blood run cold, because this wasn't about land at all. It was about control, and I had just become the only person standing in their way. I knew I couldn't take on the HOA with emotion alone. I needed evidence, something concrete that proved they were lying. The following Friday, I attended the monthly HOA meeting at the clubhouse. Karen stood at the front like a queen addressing her subjects, her pearl necklace glinting under the lights. "Before we begin," she said, "a reminder that all lakefront structures must comply with updated community zoning." I raised my hand. "Does that include my cabin?" Her lips twitched. "Especially yours, Mr. Walker." The room went silent. Neighbors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some looked at me with sympathy, others with fear. Karen had that kind of hold on people. She could raise their HOA dues or deny their dock access with a single vote. After the meeting, I hung back while everyone left. Karen and 2 board members disappeared into her office. Through the frosted glass, I could see her pull out a large, rolled-up blueprint. My heart started racing. I waited until the hallway emptied, then quietly slipped closer. The door was slightly open. Inside, Karen spread out the map, an old zoning layout of the lake community. But something was off. The property lines looked edited. My lot was drawn smaller, and a section of my land was shaded in red, labeled Community Recreation Zone. My phone was already in my hand. I snapped a photo. Suddenly, the door creaked. Karen turned sharply. "What are you doing?" I stammered. Just thought the meeting was still open." Her eyes narrowed. "You should leave, Mr. Walker. Trespassing on HOA grounds is a violation." I forced a smile and walked out, heart pounding like a drum. I knew I had something big, but I also knew Karen wouldn't let this slide. That night, as I examined the photo on my laptop, I noticed the bottom corner of the map had faint initials, KD Rev 2022. Karen Duffy herself had redrawn the boundaries. It wasn't a clerical error, it was deliberate. The next morning, I woke up to find 2 HOA security officers parked outside my driveway. They claimed they were inspecting potential encroachments. I stood on my porch, arms crossed, and told them to leave. They didn't. They started taking pictures. That's when I realized this was escalating faster than I imagined. Karen wasn't just trying to evict me. She was preparing to make me disappear from the lake altogether. And I wasn't going down quietly. The next few days felt like living under siege. HOA cars circled my driveway every few hours. Someone even placed a community property "Do Not Enter" sign near my dock. It was intimidation, pure and simple. Then one night I heard a quiet knock. It wasn't aggressive like Karen's. It was cautious. I opened the door and found my neighbor, Tom Jenkins, standing there with a flashlight and a worried look. "Can I come in?" he whispered. Tom had lived across the lake for 20 years. He was a retired surveyor, one of the few people who actually understood land maps better than anyone else around here. He stepped inside and set a folder on my kitchen table. "I shouldn't even have this," he said, opening it. Inside were copies of Original plats from when the lake community was founded in the 80s. My property line was clear as day, unchanged, undisputed, untouched. So why are they saying it's not yours? I asked. Tom sighed. Because Karen's trying to expand HOA boundaries. The board's been working on a proposal to rezone private lots as shared community assets. Yours is the first target because it's got the best view of the lake. My stomach dropped. She wants my land for herself. He nodded grimly. They call it a recreational zone. But if they pull it off, it means she can use your property for events, rentals, even resale. I felt anger rise in my chest. That's theft. Tom looked me dead in the eyes. It's worse. It's fraud. But you didn't hear this from me. Before he left, he handed me a USB drive. That's a copy of the HOA's internal communications. I got it from a friend who does IT work for them. Check the folder labeled Expansion Phase 1. You'll understand everything. After he left, I plugged it in. My screen filled with documents, emails, and scanned notes. One email from Karen herself read, "Once the Walker property is cleared, we can begin the lakeside renovation project. The board members have already expressed interest in using the cabin for board retreats." I leaned back in my chair, my hands trembling. They weren't just stealing my land. They'd already planned what to do with it. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Mr. Walker. Some things are better left alone." The sender's name? K. Duffy. I knew right then, this was no longer a property dispute. This was a war. I barely slept that night. Every creak of the cabin made me think the HOA had come to finish what they started. But by morning, my fear had burned away, replaced by a cold, steady anger. They wanted a fight. They were about to get one. I printed every document, every map, every email from that USB drive. Then I drove straight to the county courthouse. The clerk recognized me from before. "Back again?" he asked. "This time," I said, sliding the folder onto the counter. "I have proof." Within hours, county investigators were reviewing the files. One of them, a sharp-eyed woman named Detective Reeves, called me into her office. "You realize what you've brought us, right?" she asked. "These aren't just fake maps. These are forged government documents. That's criminal." I nodded. Karen Duffy and her board signed every one of them. Reeves smiled slightly. "Then let's make sure she regrets it." That afternoon, I returned home to find the HOA holding another inspection. Karen was there, clipboard in hand, pretending to measure my property line. When she saw me pull up, her face tightened. "Mr. Walker, you're trespassing," she said coldly. I laughed. "Funny. The county doesn't think so." Her expression shifted as two unmarked cars rolled up behind me. Detective Reeves stepped out, badge glinting in the sunlight. "Karen Duffy?" she called. "We have a warrant to search the HOA office." Karen's face went pale. "This is outrageous," she snapped. "We're a private association. Not when you falsify county maps and attempt property theft," Reeves replied. The next few hours were chaos. Officers combed through the HOA office, confiscating hard drives and documents. Neighbors gathered along the road, whispering as Karen was escorted into a squad car, still shouting about board immunity. By evening, the lake community was buzzing. For the first time in years, people spoke freely about the fines, the intimidation, the way Karen had bullied everyone into silence. A week later, I received a letter from the county. My ownership was reaffirmed, officially, legally, irrevocably. I stood on my dock that evening, watching the sunset reflect off the water. The orange flag's finally gone. Tom paddled by in his canoe and waved. "Heard she's facing 5 years?" he called. I smiled. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person. The lake was quiet again. Peaceful. Mine. But I'd learned something valuable through it all. Sometimes, the real danger isn't losing what you own. It's letting people convince you that you don't deserve to own it. And as for the HOA, they never tried to mess with me again. If you enjoyed this story and love seeing justice served, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what you would have done if the HOA tried to steal your property. Your support keeps these stories coming.